Kingdoms, Kings, and Early Republic. In the previous chapter, you have learnt about the villages, clans, and tribes. A group of villages formed a clan, and several clans formed a tribe. Each tribe had a king, but now the question arises, how did they choose their kings, and how villages changed into kingdoms? In this chapter, you will study how some men became rulers, and how the early kingdoms were formed. How some men became ruler. Do you know how we choose our ruler these days? Yes, by elections and voting system. But in the ancient times, these were not in practice. Then how did they choose their rulers? Probably they were chosen by janas, or the men who performed big sacrifices were recognized as kings. Some texts highlight one such ritual known as Ashwamedha, or horse sacrifice. Under this, a horse was let loose to wander and guarded by the king's men. If the horse wandered in the kingdoms of the other kings and was stopped by the king or his men, then the king had to fight. And on the other hand, if they allowed the horse to pass through their kingdom, it meant that they accept that the king who wanted to perform the sacrifice is stronger than them. The king who organized the sacrifices was regarded as being more powerful. The sacrifices were performed by specially trained priests, and all those who came to these sacrifices brought gifts for the king. Janapadas and Mahajanapadas. Do you remember the meaning of Jana? In the Vedic society, it referred to members of a clan. The term Janapada is a compound term composed of Janas meaning tribe and Pada means foot. Thus, Janapada literally means the place where the people laid their feet and settled down. The political structure of the ancient Indians appeared to have started around 600 BC in Ganga plains with semi-nomadic tribal units called Jana. In the early Vedic society, the members of Jana were pastoral groups roaming in search of pastures. They fought among themselves and with other non-Aryan tribes for cows, sheep, and green pastures. However, in the later Vedic phase, the members of Jana took up agriculture and began to settle down. These agricultural settlements were called Janapadas. Some of the important Janapadas were Panchala, Bareilly district; Surasena, Mathura; Kosala, Awadh; Kashi, Videha, Magadha, etc. These tracts were not simple tribes, but were kingdoms and republics. In these republics, it was the Kshatriya families who owned the land and had the political powers. Many Janapadas were republics, either single tribes or a confederacy of tribes, governed by a general assembly called Parishad and a council of elders representing powerful Kshatriya families or clans. One of the elders was elected as a chief or king council to preside over the assembly. With the passage of time, hereditary ascension to the throne and the association of the king with a divine status resulted in monarchies. During this period, two major changes occurred in agriculture: the use of iron axes and growing of paddy. Once the Aryans settled down in one place, there was expansion of agriculture, especially with the use of iron axes and plowshares. These iron tools could clear the forest and dig deeper than the stone or copper tools. The people started cultivating rice in the middle Gangetic Valley, that is the area east of Allahabad, as the region was suited to wet rice cultivation. All this led to gradual agricultural expansion as well as growth of population. This resulted in a major change in the socio-political structure of Janapadas. Due to expansion in population and agriculture, Vedic tribes came in closer contact with each other and with the non-Aryan population. This led to the formation of larger territorial entities, some of which became more important than the others, and were known as Mahajanapadas. There were total 16 Mahajanapadas: Kasi, Kosala, Anga, Magad, Vajji, Malla, Chedi, Vatsa or Vamsa, Kuru, Panchala, Macha or Matsya, Surasena, Asaka, Avanti, Gandhara, Kamboja. Most of these had a capital city and many were fortified, which means a huge wall of wood, brick or stone was built around them. Can you guess how these walls would have been useful to the kings? These walls would protect the people from the attack of other kings. Other advantage was that the land and the people inside these walls could be controlled more easily by the king. The new king now began maintaining armies. Soldiers were paid regular salaries and maintained by the king. To bear all these expenses, the kings levied taxes on the public. Instead of depending on occasional gifts brought by the people, as in the case of kings of Janapadas, now they started collecting regular taxes. The most important among these were taxes on crops. Usually, 1/6 of the wheat produced was charged from the farmers as tax, which was known as bhaga or share. There were taxes on craft persons, which could be in form of labor. For example, a craft person had to work for a day every month for the king. Herders also paid tax in form of animals and animal products. Hunters or gatherers also had to produce forest products for the king. The taxes were imposed on the goods which were bought and sold through trade. These 16 Mahajanapadas were continuously fighting with one another to capture each other's territory. As a result, only 4 powerful Mahajanapadas survived. These were Magad, Vatsa, Avanti, Kosala. But in course of time, Magad emerged as the most powerful kingdom of this period. Magad, a closer look. Magad formed one of the 16 Mahajanapadas or regions in ancient India. The core of the kingdom was the area of Bihar, south of the Ganges. Its first capital was Rajgriha, modern Rajgir. Then Pataliputra, which is modern Patna. Magad expanded to include most of Bihar and Bengal, with the conquest of Lichavi and Anga respectively, followed by much of eastern Uttar Pradesh. Magad consisted of the areas around Patna and Gaya in South Bihar. It was protected by the rivers Son and Ganga on its north and west respectively. Most parts of Magad were under forest cover. Elephants which lived in the forest could be captured and trained for the army. Forests also provided wood for building houses, carts and chariots. Rich iron ore resources of Magad enabled its rulers to make tools and weapons of good quality. They helped in the growth of industry and agriculture, trade and commerce in Magad, and made it strong. Moreover, its control over the trade routes of Ganges, Gandak and Son rivers could provide it substantial revenues. Land under cultivation in Magad was quite fertile. There was agricultural prosperity. The walls of Rajgriha represent the earliest evidence of fortification in the history of India. Magad had two powerful kings, Bimbisara and Ajatsatru, who used all possible means to conquer other Janapadas. They wanted to secure their kingdoms and expand their territories. Bimbisara used the strategy of matrimonial alliance. He also conquered Anga. Ajatsatru annexed Vaishali and Kosala, while Mahabadamananda took over Kalinga. This made Magad powerful. Vajji, a closer look. Centered around the Vaisali district of Bihar, the Vajjis were located north of the Ganga. This Mahajanapada extended up to the hills of Nepal in the north. It was separated from Kosala by the river Gandak. Unlike the Mahajanapadas previously discussed, the Vajjas had a different kind of political organization known as the Ghana or a Sangha. In Ghana or a Sangha, there was not one but several kings. These kings performed rituals together. They met in the assemblies and by discussion and debate decided what had to be done and how. However, women, dasas, and kamakaras could not participate in these assemblies. More powerful kings of different kingdoms tried to conquer the Sanghas.